up in flames.
The car is on fire! It's right next to our house!
Victim after victim sharing their stories about how they barely made it out of these burning cars alive.
The son just jumped out of the car, ran down the side of the freeway, and we looked back and the car's just engulfed in flames.
I could have died. My house could have burned. My son could have died.
The I-Team answering their calls for justice.
I want to know what caused this. Why did I almost die?
Our year-long investigation getting results, and we have not stopped pushing.
Thank you for joining us for this special report, Up in Flames. I'm Wendy Ryan. Just one tip from an ABC Action News viewer launched an in-depth I-Team investigation into Kia's and Hyundai's bursting into flames without any warning. This dangerous issue putting everyone on the road in harm's way. During our in-depth look into this problem, you'll hear from a whistleblower who says he warned Kia about the cause of these fires as far back as 2017, as well as an insurance expert who says your rates may go up even if you don't drive one of these cars. Now, our Jackie Calloway led the charge, exposing faulty engine recalls that might have caused some of these fires. Jackie?
Wendy, I've been working on this story since April 2018. In the wake of our I-Team's reporting, the Senate called for a congressional hearing into these fires. And since the beginning of 2019, Kia and Hyundai have taken hundreds of thousands of vehicles off the road. Now, the top federal agency for auto safety has launched its own investigation into why so many of these vehicles are going up in flames. Now, as of June 2019, we've uncovered more than 3,000 vehicle fires in these 5 models alone. The 2011 to 2014 Hyundai Sonatas, the 2011 to 2014 Hyundai Santa Fe's, the 2010 to 2015 Kia Souls, the 2011 to 2014 Kia Sorentos, and the 2011 to 2014 Kia Optimas. Now, this actually covers fires in 44 states. The National Highway Transportation Safety Administration has also gotten reports of more than 100 injuries and 1 death. I've heard firsthand from dozens of drivers and car owners. They've reached out from all over the U.S. Terrified victims describe their near escapes from burning vehicles, how their cars combusted in their driveways, and I spoke to a mom who desperately tried to save her son's life.
To watch my child die in front of my eyes, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Keith Nash never made it out of the parking lot. The 48-year-old burned to death after getting into his mother's 2014 Kia Soul just outside Cincinnati.
I heard him holler for help, which is what I was going to do. And I ran to the car, and it was so hot, I couldn't get him out of the car.
A car is blowing up, and there's a baby in the car, and the people just removed the baby.
David and Christina Adams' Kia caught fire as they drove down a Polk County highway.
But it was engulfed in flames before I even really was out of the car.
Christina barely had time to unbuckle her baby's car seat.
It honestly felt like seconds before the entire car was engulfed.
You shouldn't have to think about what's the fastest way to get to your son if necessary.
Seeing pictures that look just like ours, it makes you sick.
It was very fast.
Pasco County firefighter Chris Wolfe says she's thankful her 2 young children were not in the car when her 2012 Sorento burst into flames as she drove down State Road 52.
But the seat is totally melted. That's the booster seat for the 7-year-old. Yeah, that's where the 7-year-old would have been sitting.
Do you think you could have gotten your kids out of this car?
Honestly, I really don't.
But you're a trained first responder.
It really was fast.
Seeing the flames come from the front windshield.
Nick Kleckner told us he bought his Kia brand new in 2013. It caught fire just after exiting I-75 in Fort Myers.
After I got off the exit, it started smoking.
Nick says he could not get his Kia Optima to stop.
I pumped the brakes and there was nothing, so immediately I went to the emergency brake.
He escaped the burning sedan with seconds to spare.
15 seconds and the whole car was in flames, and I ran away and just watched it. Just the flames get bigger and bigger.
Nick's just thankful his 2 small children were not in the car that day.
Thought about my kids, if they were in the vehicle, how hard it would have been to unstrap them and get them out.
The fire triggered her car's alarm and worked Kim Borden out of a dead sleep.
As I'm running out, the neighbor from across the street was pounding on my door yelling my car was on fire.
Is the fire threatening anything? Well, I'm right up to the house.
What was your biggest concern at this point?
It blowing up.
Kim fought the flames with a fire extinguisher, but not before her garage caught fire.
I had emptied my fire extinguisher, so I ran over to the side and grabbed my hose.
Kim says the only reason she and her 19-year-old son are still alive is because she did not park her SUV in the garage that night.
I could have died. My house could have burned. My son could have died.
We started running away from the car.
Kirsten Wilson's 2016 Kia Sportage burst into flames as she drove down a Georgia highway.
It literally blew up in front of us with all of our stuff in it.
Kristen still has nightmares about what happened.
I would get up in the middle of the night to check the car to see if it was on fire. I'm sorry.
Many of these victims demanded action from Kia and Hyundai and filed reports with federal regulators, but they say the automakers weren't responding and they couldn't get answers about what was causing these fires until we started asking questions. Now, we showed this video. Take a look. It was sent in by a driver in Louisiana to several automotive fire experts to try and get to the bottom of the issue. Watch as fuel sprays onto the ignition coil in this 2014 Kia Optima. Fire investigator Rich Meyer suspects fuel pump leaks, just like this one, ignited some of the fires.
You have the fuel and you have an ignition source. And under the right conditions, this can catch on fire.
The I-Team discovered Kia warned about fuel pump leaks way back in August of 2011, telling mechanics in a special bulletin, fuel pump replacements done without new bolts and tubing may result in fuel leaks. All this later backed up by a former employee at Kia's corporate headquarters who came forward to say he warned the automaker as far back as 2017 about the cause of these fires. He sat down exclusively with me, claiming he was pushed out of his job for raising concerns about the fire danger. Why are you coming forward now?
I'm coming forward because people's lives are at risk.
Jason Vaughn worked for Kia's warranty department at their headquarters in Irvine, California.
I discovered in the course of performing dealer audits a safety concern that I believe is causing the Kia vehicle fires.
In 2017, Jason says he found Kia dealers performing engine recalls improperly, leading to dangerous fuel pump leaks. A problem the I-Team first uncovered in November 2018 after speaking with auto experts.
It's like hitting the car with a flamethrower.
The car just started on fire and there was fire coming from underneath it.
Since April 2018, the I-Team has exposed hundreds of Kia and Hyundai car fires.
My car's on fire.
Jason said he warned Kia corporate leaders he suspected faulty recall work is causing so many of these vehicles to burst into flames. But he told the I-Team he didn't get the reaction he expected. Who did you notify?
I brought it up in a warranty operations meeting, and there were 6 other people plus myself in the room.
How did the higher-ups react?
The warranty operations manager was not receptive at all. She didn't think that it was something that we should look at.
What is your biggest fear?
A mother driving her car with her child in a car seat in the back seat and the car catching on fire. This needs federal attention.
Jason left his job at Kia in December 2018. He said he was pushed out for raising his concerns.
This is a high-pressure fuel pump.
And he is now registered as a federal whistleblower with the Securities and Exchange Commission. This is what they actually wrote to us in an email. This is Kia Corporate. We have and are continuing to investigate his claims regarding vehicle fires. What is your response when you hear that?
I hope that's the case. There's never been, in my 25 years in the industry, has there ever been a situation this dangerous. You know about the problem, and you've handed them the keys to a car that could start on fire and burn to the ground within 10 to 15 seconds, which you can't get out of the car that fast.
Jackie, let's go in depth on that interview. How did you get in touch with that guy?
Actually, he found me. As you can imagine, I get a lot of tips, story ideas on social media through our tip line. He found me back in December. His story sounded pretty far out there, so we started doing some backgrounding. I was able to confirm that he did work for Kia's warranty division, both before and after the interview. We're fact-checking what he's telling us, and then we went to Kia for a response, and that's when things really started rolling. A lot has happened since our interview in January 2019. We're going to take you through it. Starting January 9th, when we interviewed Kia whistleblower Jason Vaughn. Less than a week later, on January 15th, Kia announces a plan to recall 70,000 vehicles. The following month, on February 20th, prosecutors in South Korea raided Hyundai's offices in Seoul after allegations the automaker tried to conceal defects in some of its vehicles. Video shows South Korean prosecutors carrying out boxes, large boxes of evidence. 1 week later, on February 27th, a consumer safety group, the Center for Auto Safety, calls on Congress to investigate and cites our interview with the Kia whistleblower. The very next day, Kia and Hyundai announced an expanded recall, including more than 500,000 cars. And finally, in April 2019, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration opened 2 investigations into Kia and Hyundai fires. It finally happened 9 months after that consumer group filed its first petition demanding investigations. Former Senator Bill Nelson also called for action after seeing our reports.
And they've got to stop this because we're going to have some people killed, and it could be in the scenario that the car's in the garage and the whole house goes up in flames. The minute I saw that, I said, we got to get to the bottom of this.
According to documents I've obtained, those NHTSA investigations will look into how often these fires happen, how many vehicles are affected, and the impact on your safety.
But Jackie, why did it take so long for NHTSA to do anything?
Well, NHTSA had said in the past that it had reviewed problems with the defects, but that was not a formal investigation. It wasn't really related to the fires. And this is really important because it affects everyone on the road, not just the millions of Kia and Hyundai drivers. And that's why we felt this recall was so important.
All right, so let's go back to that initial recall in January of 2019. You were working on this story for months. Yeah. So what did you think when you finally heard the announcement?
It's 9 o'clock at night. I just put my kids to bed. I'm getting ready to shut down my laptop. I do one last check of email, and there it was. It was an email from Kia Corporate in California telling me that they had launched a recall, and the recall was specifically for the issues that we had pointed out to them. So as you know, I called the station, called our producer, raced here, you and I worked on it, and we led the news that night at 11 o'clock. Yeah, we felt it was important that everybody know this.
Absolutely. It was very late, it was breaking, but you were the first to have it, which is incredible.
It's been a long time coming.
So now let's go in depth on this recall for you. It covers almost 379,000 Kia Soul SUVs from 2012 through 2016 with 1.6-liter engines. It also includes about 123,000 Hyundai Tucson SUVs from 2011 to 2013 and 32,000 Kia Sportage SUVs from 2011 and 2012 and about 67,000 Kia Optima and Sorento vehicles. All of these cars reported defects that can lead to engine oil leaks, which can cause fires. We reached out to both Kia and Hyundai to ask if there are any plans to expand the recall, since we also found vehicles not on the recall list that are catching on fire. Hyundai did not answer that question directly, but in a statement says, quote, "Nothing is more important than the safety and security of Hyundai customers. We actively monitor and evaluate potential safety concerns." It goes on to say Hyundai values its continued cooperative relationship with the U.S. Department of Transportation and NHTSA. Kia says it has no plans for additional recalls, issuing a statement that says in part, quote, "Our data confirms that Kia had previously identified the appropriate recall universe. Therefore, Kia is not planning on any additional recalls or any change in the scope of the recall population."
Wendy, it is worth noting the original petition from the Center for Auto Safety demanded that 3 million cars be recalled, but again, only 500,000 cars have been taken off the street so far.
So will this recall really do any good? What do you think?
Well, it depends on who you ask. Now, the Center for Auto Safety is going to tell you that there's still about 2.5 million vehicles out there that may pose some sort of fire danger. But of course, we've reached out to both the automakers, and they say, well, they've taken care of protecting people in these cars through the recalls and through additional warranty work. I can tell you dozens of drivers have joined a class action lawsuit taking aim at Kia and Hyundai. One Bay Area family who barely escaped their burning Kia Sorento now suing over an earlier engine recall and improper work while replacing those defective engines. According to those court documents, Kia knew or should have known that the recall repairs would not resolve the engine defect and may make the class vehicles more likely to catch fire. Two other class action lawsuits in New Jersey and California accuse both Kia and Hyundai of deceptive and fraudulent business practices. We asked a class action veteran to weigh in. John Yanchunas is not involved in any of the suits against Kia or Hyundai, but he was among the attorneys who sued Volkswagen over its diesel cheating scandal. That suit settled for more than $14 billion. Yanchunas says the cases against Hyundai and Kia could be worth more.
Risk of tremendous damage to property, but also lives. Cars moving down the highway that suddenly burst into flames. Much more serious than Volkswagen.
Also part of the class action lawsuits, Carol Nash. That's the Ohio mother who watched her son burn to death inside her Kia Soul in 2017. Legal experts tell ABC Action News a federal judicial panel will likely decide whether all of these cases should be combined as one class action.
As of June 2019, we've uncovered more than 3,400 insurance claims for fires in just a handful of Kia and Hyundai models. And even if you don't drive one of the cars we've been profiling, we all could end up paying for these fires out of our own pocket. Lisa Miller, Florida's former deputy insurance commissioner, says the auto insurance companies are likely watching the car fires closely, and Kia and Hyundai owners should expect their car insurance bills to go up. That's because insurers tend to raise rates after a pattern of high-cost claims connected to certain vehicles.
This trend is scary, and the more it occurs, it affects every one of our pocketbooks. You can bet the insurance companies are going to increase their rates if they see this getting worse and worse.
Even worse, the fires could lead to rate hikes across the board in the same way fraudulent accident injury claims left Florida drivers paying some of the highest auto insurance rates in the country.
People across the nation are becoming more aware of these car fires and the ripple effect they could have on millions of other drivers on the road. But what should you do if you're concerned about your own vehicle? Well, the first thing you want to do is go to the Kia and Hyundai website, punch in your VIN to make sure your vehicle is not one of the latest recalled. And if you have to replace the fuel pump, be sure that all the parts attached to that pump are replaced as well, so that you avoid the danger of a fuel leak that may have sparked many of these fires. And if you ever smell gas coming from your engine, have a mechanic check it out right away. We promise to stay on top of updates for this vital story, something we're keeping an eye on. When will Congress reschedule a hearing with the CEOs of Kia and Hyundai? They were called to testify in November 2018 to explain what was causing these fires, but those CEOs refused to show up to that hearing. Also, the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York City is reportedly investigating whether Kia and Hyundai handled recalls properly.
And you can download our free mobile app to get push alerts on the Kia and Hyundai investigations as they come in. And you can also see all of the reporting we've done on this special section of our website at abcactionnews.com/carfires. Plus, watch all of our investigations on our free streaming apps on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Again, this story and all the change it's led to began with one tip from a viewer like you. So please contact the I-Team. We want to hear your tips, whether they're related to this story or not.
Thank you so much for joining us for this special report, Up in Flames.
We leave you with this, the call to action from those victims.
We need answers, we need closure, but they need to be held accountable.
That's my concern, is safety for other people.
Nothing, no warnings, no nothing, and that's what makes me so daggone mad.
There's got to be answers. They just have to be willing to look and take responsibility.
This needs federal attention.
If they had even one report, then they should have done something, and they didn't. Nothing will bring him back, but I don't want any other parent, mother, father to go through what I went through.